Hello, everybody. Welcome into our latest live broadcast. It is Sunday, the 10th of August, 2025. I'm Kerry Holzman, and today we are doing a Synology migration. So this is the latest series of Synology's 2025 year of their models. So there is a 2-bay that we don't have, a 225, then the 925, 1525, and 1825. So 425. Wait, what did I say this was called? It's a 925, isn't it? Yeah, it's a 925. I was thinking the numbers represent the number of bays, but apparently that doesn't hold true on a 925 because it's got 4 bays. But a 1525, if you ignore the first number, it's 5, right? 5 is number of bays, and then 1825 number of bays is 8. So that one kind of throws me. But today, what I want to demonstrate and talk to you about is, the pros and the cons of Synology and why, having my choice of NAS to use, I still choose Synology even with the drive restrictions. And we're going to talk about that today and why that's really not a restriction at all. It's a psychological thing and it's not really enforceable. So we're going to demonstrate that live today without a backup. We are relying on the 1525. We were relying on the 925. When we got the 1525, we thought, let's try that with the 10 gig network card upgrade. We've only had it a few weeks, but we love it. We don't necessarily want to get rid of it. But if you're telling me I can have the same thing, but with more storage, yes, please. And one of the things that really surprised me on the 1825, because I've never had a NAS that was bigger than 4 bays, I thought they all used the same drive trays. These are regular drive trays here. They pop out from the bottom, and same here. But these drive trays, and this may be a silly thing, but it's kind of a big deal for me. These drive trays have a really nice click at the bottom, and they just slide out, and it's just so much more, the feeling of it is so much more refined, and it's so much easier. And I thought these were like industry leading. Now, this may not seem like a big deal to you until you try to remove disks or the trays from other manufacturers. They feel a little rickety. Synology has a very solid feel to it. Now, before you come to any conclusions that I've sold out or somehow brainwashed, I want to explain to you the logic. And you don't have to agree with it, but I think it'll at least make sense to you. I'm also not saying I'm okay with Synology introducing the drive restrictions. I'm not okay with it. I'm not okay with Ugreen not having a guest account. I'm not okay with TerraMaster having metal drive trays that can ground out against the bottom of a circuit board. I'm not okay with every single NAS on the market. There's a sacrifice. The only question is, which sacrifice is more value to you? Right? Which is the sacrifice you're willing to make? You want to be able to have control and put TrueNAS or Unraid on it? I'm not interested in that. But you might be, and so maybe Miniswarm or Rico would be more appealing for you. On the other hand, I'm not a fan of Apple computers. Apple is a closed-in ecosystem. I hate that. Hate that. So I don't buy Apple products. Synology appears to be trying to take a page out of the Apple playbook in the sense that let's think about this. Apple is not a hardware company. Apple is a software company that custom builds hardware that can run their software. That's the order of priority at Apple Computer Engineering and Design. We build the software, and then we build the hardware, and we charge a lot of money. For example, if you wanted a RAM upgrade on an Apple computer, the RAM may be soldered on the board, and if you can upgrade it, it's 4 times the cost, 3 to 4 times the cost of what you and I know you can buy that RAM for. This is, you can't, generally you can't just go and get anybody's RAM or anybody's SSD. Apple will reject it. It'll tell you it's not a qualified part. Now, despite that, Apple fans don't complain about it. Like they spend the money, they get the device, it just works. They don't have the problems Windows users and home enthusiasts have, because they're locked in and they're paying a prime premium for that. If that's your thing and that's what you like, have at it. What Synology is doing is they're trying, it appears anyway, to go the route of saying, look, we're not a hardware manufacturer, we're a software manufacturer. That's where Synology outshines everybody else, and I don't think anybody could disagree. The DSM software is the one currently to be beaten in 2025. They just stand alone at the level of ease of use, polish, features, reliability. Synology leads the way. I don't think any of us could debate that. Now it looks like they're taking, like I said before, a page out of Apple's playbook, where we now build moderate hardware, because let's face it, Apple doesn't have any hardware that's really all that amazing. And well, they eventually, if you spend enough money, you can get up there. For the most part, you're not getting enthusiast level computers with Apple, and you're not putting other operating systems on them. Okay, so this is all a known truth, but nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to make the connection. I don't know why. The difference with Apple and what Synology is doing is Apple's custom written their own operating system. Synology built theirs on an open source Linux, like Debian or something. That makes any sort of restriction kind of laughable. You can't really enforce restrictions on when you're built on an open source platform, because it's easily reverse engineered. Apple, not so much. So Synology would like you to think that you're locked in, when you're really, with a very little effort, you can unlock it. It's really no big deal. And we're going to show you that today live. I do not have a recent backup. So we did back up the data before moving from the 925 to the 15. But in the last 3 weeks, I haven't had time to then back up to 15. So we're going to do this basically without a safety net. That's how confident I am in the software, that the DSM software that Synology makes. And I'm willing to put all of my company data on the line. I mean, I need this. I'm going to be in a world of hurt if this doesn't work. And I would not do this with any other brand. But going from one Synology to another, they make it super easy. And we're not using any Synology drives, just to prove a point. We have been using Seagate Iron Wolf drives in all of these devices since we did the review with the Synology drives to show you this is how Synology would like you to experience their product. And then we said, you don't have to do it Synology's way if you don't want to, but nobody's really talking about it. And when they do talk about it, they make it so complex and they make it so overwhelmingly confusing. I'm going to show you how to do this in 2 minutes. Copy and paste. It's just so easy. The data migration, it's going to happen really fast. The primary reason why it's going to happen fast is we don't run any apps on this besides the default apps. This is our file locker. All right, this is everything we put on there, my video files, my edits, anything work related, all of our archives, everything's in here. The whole history of what I've been doing with both my computer repair business here on YouTube, it's all here. Everything's here. Okay, and we're going to just take these drives out. These are Seagate Iron Wolf drives. We're going to put them in this unit. This unit's never had Seagate Iron Wolf drives in it before. You guys seem to think, and other content creators seem to keep touting the company line, towing the company line, by talking about these drive restrictions as though they're real. They're not real. They're imaginary. It's a marketing ploy. It's not a technical limitation. It's a simple software. It's so simple that for everybody to be making such a big deal about it, it frustrates me. And then when I see other content creators continue to just keep beating on the same drum, if it weren't for me, I guess nobody would be showing this on YouTube. So I appreciate recently our friend over at NAS Compares showed the process, but he did it in the most complex way possible. But look, I'm going to complain about it, right? Because one, I was complaining when he wouldn't show it, and two, when he did show it, I'm going to complain that he didn't show it the easy way. So you got to feel bad for him. You're never going to make Kerry happy. No, he's a good guy. We really like him, and I definitely recommend NAS Compares. But they're the only ones, aside from us, as far as I can tell, that's had the guts. And I don't even know why I'm saying it that way. Nobody's telling him not to. I've not received any notification whatsoever that they have any issue with this at all. So any sort of concern people have is based purely on imagination, and they have absolutely no example of anybody ever even so much as being asked not to show this. So the only reason they don't do it, it's all in their imagination. That's how marketing works, man. So break free of it. I'm telling you, it's like a trance or a hypnosis, and they get you tied under that. And if you don't think freely for yourself, well, I mean, it's your life, okay? I don't want to live that way. So I'm skeptical, and I want to verify what I'm being told is accurate. And that often requires me to experience things myself or to see video evidence from a trusted source. But I still, even then, probably still want to verify it. Now, you might say, look, I don't care if there's an easy workaround. It's unacceptable. That's how I feel about the lack of a guest account on Ugreen. That's exactly how I feel. It's an absolute zero, cannot use it, doesn't matter. Anything else doesn't matter. They could have a faster processor, they could have nicer drive trays, it could run quieter, it could be cheaper. I cannot use it without the guest account for myself, nor can any of my clients use it. But there's a workaround. It's not a permanent workaround. You have to keep constantly being renewed and reauthorizing. You know, even if it's every few months, I'm not dealing with all those support calls. There's no way. And you're not going to convince me to change my business model, and I'm not going to convince you to buy a different NAS. I'm not here to do that, and you shouldn't be there to do it because it's offensive. What I'm here to do is open your mind to understand that every NAS on the market has sacrifices. Some of the sacrifices you're willing to make, I'm not willing to make for our own reasons. My reason is I need the reliability. I like the migration being this easy to go from one Synology to another. You show me another NAS manufacturer that does that. And I am so confident I would never do what I'm about to do with any other NAS manufacturer. Now, I'm working for a living. My reputation rides on the hardware and software I implement for my customers. This is not me at home playing. And I'm glad that you guys can stay at home and play. Have fun. Okay, but if that's the kind of info you're looking for, is you don't care about the real business world and you only care about your own personal needs, this is not the channel for you. Because the thing is, you might find out your own personal needs will expand when you realize and open your mind to looking at the other options, the pros and the cons. But if you've already got your mind made up, there's no benefit from anything I'm going to offer you. Everything that you think you've got figured out, I'm going to question it. And if you don't want to have what you think is questioned, if you think that's offensive, if you find that to be enlightening and you don't want to be enlightened, you don't want to learn anything new, or you don't want to be brought to your attention other benefits or sacrifices you hadn't considered, this is not a choir. I'm not here to preach to a choir. I am here to show you the facts, and I'm here to show you my perspective and my values based on how I deploy these and what's at stake. I don't care if you lose your movies at home. It matters not to anybody in the world but you. But if something like this goes down in a business, including my own business right now with what I'm about to do, there's going to be some sleepless and stressful nights. Okay, so I'm not just going to assign any NAS manufacturer to that responsibility. And, you know, if Synology continues down this path, we'll see. Maybe my attitude will change. But this sacrifice of having to put a 2-minute patch on this to permanently have it work with any drive I wanted to work with is so effortless, it's so brainless, and it's so simple. This shouldn't be a secret, and people shouldn't be afraid to talk about it. There's no precedence set for any downside to talking about this. Okay, so I feel pretty strongly that it's ridiculous how this is not just talked about. Now, even if that you feel is unacceptable, Fine, but at least you know now. At least you can decide for yourself, knowing what the full truth is, instead of just the bit of truth other content creators are giving you, and Synology is also only giving you part of it. It would not be in their best interest to tell you how to bypass the things that their marketing company has implemented. That being said, this is so easy, it's so reliable. I'm doing this live, unscripted and unrehearsed. I would never, and I want to underscore this, there is no other NAS manufacturer where I would take the drives out of one unit, put them into another unit without a recent backup, and then do that live on camera. How's that going to make me look if it doesn't work? You understand what's at stake, right? I got my reputation on the line. I'm doing this live. I can't stop it. What happens is going to happen. You understand the depth of the words that I'm saying? This is the only manufacturer I would do this with. Okay. Am I going to eat crow? Probably not. No, it's probably going to be super easy, and it's going to be so fast, you're not going to believe it. And if that is less important to you than a 2-minute copy and paste, and people's imaginations here online is insane. Well, what if Synology patches the patch? This fix has been out for over 7 years. Synology introduced drive restrictions back in 2018. Where have you been? You couldn't just throw any drive you want to Synology. That hasn't been a thing for over 7 years. There's been a workaround for that for 7 years. It's never been patched, ever. Okay, but what if they do? At some point, the questions become absurd based on no examples, no precedent, and no understanding of how software and hardware work together. So, okay, what if it grows legs, jumps off the kitchen table, grabs a kitchen knife, and stabs me to death? Well, Carrie, that's absurd. That's my point. But we'll play this little game. What if Synology says we're closing the patch down? It's an open source operating system it's founded on. It's easy to go back and take it apart and reverse engineer it. How do you think we even got here? Come on, please. But what if they don't? Oh, we're going to play the why. Okay. Let's say, for example, I'm going to play this little silly childish game, that there was some possible way Synology could block that it couldn't be unlocked. That's not a thing, but let's just pretend, as you guys seem, many of you, not necessarily you watching, but many people online, like to pretend, because they have no understanding of software and hardware, they're just the basic, their imagination then, runs wild. So it's like, okay. The Synology doesn't stop working. It's still going to boot up. It's just going to be in a caution state. And while it's in a caution state, you're still going to be able to use it. You're just not going to be able to expand it or repair it. So you'll be able to respond and react. It's not like it's just not going to work anymore. So what is all this fear about? It doesn't make any sense. And you might say, well, that's not a risk I'm willing to take. It's never happened in the history of the company. But yeah, okay, any day now. Sure. It's so silly. But look, if that's what makes you comfortable, buy another brand. Buy TerraMaster, buy a SUSE-Store, buy QNAP, buy a Rico, buy Minisforum, buy a B-Link, build your own, use TrueNAS, use Unraid. That's the beauty of it. It doesn't have to be the way you want it for us. I don't want it that way. How dare you suggest your way is superior? For what you're doing with it, it's superior for you. For what I'm doing with it, it's totally inferior. What I'm doing with it, this is the best in the market. And you know how I know? Because I've seen them all. And to meet the needs and responsibilities that I have in the professional workplace, where people's careers rely on this working, I have a choice on who I'm going to put my name behind when I deploy network solutions to my customers. My choice today is still Synology. You don't have to agree with it. You don't have to understand it. You don't have to dive down deep to get more than just surface information to understand accountability, responsibility, viruses and backups and maintenance. You don't have to worry about any of that. You can stay at home and do whatever you want. I'm not here to change that. I'm not here to tell you that. I'm here to make you aware of the world around you and get you out of your bubble so you can understand that your needs are your needs. My needs are my needs. I'm not trying to convince you to adopt my needs. Please don't try to convince me to adopt yours. This is for informational and educational purposes. Use it for whatever you think it can be worth to you to make yourself a better informed technical person when it comes to these options, not only for yourself, but if you're advising friends. There's pros and cons to every single NAS on the market. Which cons you're okay with and which ones you're not, we're not going to agree. But the idea that you cannot put Seagate, Iron Wolf, and Western Digital drives in this is nonsense. It's utter nonsense. That is pure marketing hypnosis. Okay, with that, let me say hello to everybody. Let's see. We jump up here to the top of the chat and see what I've been missing. Eugene Ildago joins us from New Jersey saying hello. Thomas Yeager says hello. There's Eddie Casanova from Philadelphia saying hello. Luke Greenia from Vermont. Johnny Weld says hello. And Viper saying hello. Hobbsville Guy joining us along with Scott. Oh, our friend Mark Gaines from Northern Ireland is renewed membership, now a member for 39 months. Right on. Thank you, Mark. He says hello, Carrie, Mara, and everyone in the chat. Cheers, Mark. Good to see you, my friend. Michael Lavelle says hello, as does David Graham. I also see Andy, W6AD, joins us. David Graham, I noticed you had some networking questions in Doug Bett's channel yesterday. If you're still having some issues, please email us. And after the show, I'll do my best to help you out here. But again, that's our email. If you are interested, we'll be happy to help. There's not a networking problem I've ever seen in Windows that I couldn't fix. They're usually pretty simple. And I don't know, you might have already gotten it sorted. And if so, just know that you can always reach out to us anytime. We're always happy to try and help. Let's see. There's our friend Buster. Peter Laycock joins us and also sends us an Amazon gift card. He says, all the best from Bonnie, Scotland, where the temperature in Edinburgh, 63 degrees Fahrenheit or 17.2 degrees Celsius, and a big fire on Arthur Seat. It's an extinct volcano, and I can see it from my window. Ooh. Well, I know you guys, unlike California, you guys get rain a lot. Now, I think Edinburgh is actually a drier part of Scotland, but overall, I think every 10 days or something it rains, or maybe that was a record year. I can't remember what I read about it, but hopefully the rains will come and knock it out. I guess that's the good thing about living in an area that it rains a lot, is the forest, the fires shouldn't be as bad, I would think, having never been there. But from what I know, I would think they would not be as bad as they are in the more arid areas where we have droughts like Nevada, California, Utah, Arizona, Texas, New Mexico. But keep us up to date. Stay safe, my friend. Gregory Howard says hello. Ahmed says, which Lenovo laptop is best to buy? Whichever one meets your needs and your budget. There's a lot of different models for different people. Since we don't know you from anybody else, we don't know which laptop from anybody else would be best for a person we don't know. Different makes, different models, different prices, different sizes, different battery lives, different processors, different amounts of memory and expansion, different... there's so much there. You really need to figure out what your budget is, and then based on that, see what your options are. Then I think you're working backwards. Because basically the best is always generally considered the most expensive. So by asking a question generically, like what's the best one to buy? The most expensive one. Okay, but I can't afford that. Okay, so what you're really asking is, what's the best one I can buy for a certain amount of money? Well, go look. Whatever one sells for that amount of money, it's likely the best one. They're not just randomly pricing them. You get what you pay for. So that's the only way you can answer your question with any sort of factual applying, information that would apply. Anything else would be about personal preferences, right? So same goes true with your haircut, any tattoos, piercings, the clothes you wear, the food you order at the restaurant. There's a menu. What's the best thing on the menu? Depends who you ask. Can you afford it? All right, let's keep going. We do appreciate your questions and do encourage them, although we can't just answer some questions like, why is the sky blue? Let's see. W.E. Holmes says, I'm about to order this beast to replace my old DS18 15 Plus. I think it speaks for itself how excited we are to have this, and that we've had this family of the 2025 year. We've had these for a few months now. You don't see us going backwards, right? You don't see us going, oh, those drive restrictions are just really in the way, so we're going to just shoot ourselves in the foot and just stay with something old and outdated. So yes, I think the proof is in the pudding that we are voluntarily making a choice. Synology's never paid us a dime ever, and yet they're still my favorite. I'm sure you probably have favorites too that nobody's paid you. You might like a certain brand of car, or you might like a certain brand of whatever, and you may be loyal to that brand. Maybe you like AMD, for example, and AMD's not paying you to like them. And maybe you go around evangelizing AMD like some kind of paid evangelist when you're just so enthusiastic and you love the product so much. That's where I'm at with Synology. And the more people hate on it, the stronger I get. Like the more I like it. Because now I'm realizing those people who don't like it they just don't appreciate and understand exactly what the DSM is. And they're focused on the hardware instead of the DSM, the operating system. And that may not always be the case. In fact, it likely won't be before a competitor leapfrogs over them and has an even better operating system. But right now, nobody does. As far as I'm concerned, nobody's even close to this. So yeah, if I got to do a little minor thing, one time, who cares? All right, I think I made my point. Patrick Manny says, hello from a 91-degree Fahrenheit sunny Sunday. You're putting the sun in Sunday. Doman 2000 says hello. And yeah, it looks like everybody's YouTube names are back in the chat. YouTube's messing around. Those people can't leave things alone. What are you going to do? It'll be back to normal again in a couple days. You watch. Doman says, yeah, it's just a script like other workarounds, but still some people feel uncomfortable doing it. I'm going to show you how to do it live. Copy, paste, apply. It's like 4 clicks. And if you're not comfortable with 4 clicks, that's fine. I'm not here to make you comfortable. No one ever you never walked into somebody's house and they said, please let me make you comfortable. That's not what people say. What do they say? Make yourself comfortable. Come on in, make yourself comfortable. Only you can control your comfort. I have no control of that, nor does anybody else. You're making me feel uncomfortable. No, I'm not. I'm making you feel happy. Well, how come I feel uncomfortable? I guess I can't make you feel one way or the other then, can I? Just based on the evidence around us, I'm telling you, I'm making you feel comfortable. That's what I'm doing right now. It's not working. That's my point. You have to do it. I can't do it. It's an attitude. I can't control your attitude. So if you got a bad attitude, or you're closed-minded, or you're stubborn, or whatever your reason is, that's your right. Buy something else. I'm not making a profit off of this. If you buy a Synology or you don't, it makes no difference in my life. I'm here to show you and give you a live demonstration to justify my attitude towards Synology and why, proving it on camera, that if you really want to compare, this is the way to compare it, at least in my world. Because like I said, businesses are relying that on their network attached storage. They're relying on their network. They rely on their phones. They rely on their employees. Everything's interlinked like a chain. If any part of the chain breaks, the business is affected in a severe negative way. So, all right. I keep saying the same thing over and over. Robbie is hilarious. Oh, NAS compares? Yeah, we had a good discussion. He's a really good guy, and we agree more. We probably agree at 80% of what we talk about. But that 20%, that's where things get interesting. Otherwise, it would be a very boring conversation if we all just nodded our head and said, yes, I agree. I don't want to talk to anybody like that. If they truly agree with me, great. And if they don't, that's fine too. Just don't get angry about the change of perspective. Appreciate and respect other people's perspectives. If you want your perspective respected, you get what you give, right? So I'm not here to change your mind. I'm not here to tell you what you're doing is wrong. I'm here to show you why I make the decisions I make. So at the very least, you can walk away going, if I were in Carrie's position, I completely understand why Carrie makes that decision, but I'm not doing what Carrie does, and therefore, fill in the blank. And I will say the same back to you. Let's see. Still saying hello to everybody joining us. There's more Tant here in the chat room saying hello. There's Ron Barnish saying hello. Welcome in. Good to see all of our friends hanging out. Nicholas Barlow says hello. Frankie B, there he is. Good to see you, Frankie. He says, everybody keep your fingers crossed. Man, I am not a gambler. If I wasn't 100% certain this was going to be so smooth and so fast that it's going to blow your mind, I would just record this off camera. I'm doing this live. You take that for whatever it's worth. It's going to go just perfectly. You'll see. You'll probably be disappointed because you're going to be like, oh, I can't wait how embarrassed he's going to be when it doesn't work. No, this is Synology. It's going to work. You'll see. You don't have to believe me. I'll show you. W.E. Holmes says, I've been worry-free with my Synology DS1815 for 9 years, and I would not want to relearn. I would not want to relearn another system and deal with fixing issues. Upgrading to a DS1825 is too easy. It is. And some might argue, oh, well, you can get more NAS for the money from other manufacturers. But you could say the same about everything Apple computer sells. So this would be, instead of comparing it to other NASs, it'd be like comparing Apple computers to other computers. They're in a world of their own. Like, to compare them, it doesn't make any sense because they're not trying to accomplish the same thing. What Apple's trying to accomplish versus what a Linux user might be trying to accomplish versus what a Windows user or Microsoft is trying to accomplish, or Dell or HP or Lenovo. It's like trying to compare a car to a bus. Well, they both have four wheels, but they have completely different. They're built completely different. Right? It's a different engine, a different frame, it's a different suspension, a different driving technique. Eugene Hidalgo wants to know, can the Synology software be used with other name brand NASs? No. Again, like Apple Computer, you cannot take Apple's operating system and move it onto a non-Apple computer. Now, some say, well, you can, but the problem is it doesn't quite work 100%. There's always limitations, and it's a hack. You're not going to get any support. You're on your own. It's something somebody at home would do. Nobody in a real business would run their business on a Hackintosh. But the hobbyists that like to play and tinker, maybe they can get an app or two working that's really important to them. That's probably a thing. But I can tell you that no, the Synology DSM operating system really only works on a Synology NAS. And the other thing you have to consider is, just as Apple has their M1 and M2 and M3 chips, NASs use a variety of chips from Intel and AMD, but also other manufacturers. And none of them are coming to mind right now because, I'm not reading off of a script, but there are ARM-based NAS. TerraMaster has a few that are based on ARM processors. Qualcomm, I want to say. There's a few others. And so the operating system needs to be custom written for the processor. That's why you just can't take something very easily and move it over to a completely different hardware. Again, like the extreme would be an Apple M1 chip versus, say, the Qualcomm chip in your phone versus, say, the chip, I don't know who Apple's using in their phones anymore. The software has to be optimized and compatible with the CPU. If it can't talk to the CPU, so if you even tried to take software from one TerraMaster, put it on another TerraMaster, or even say an AMD-based Synology to an Intel-based Synology, it's not going to work. It might partially work, but overall, depends on how extreme those hardware differences are. So the software from the manufacturer has to be written for the specific hardware, just as Apple makes the software. They design the hardware to run their software. Apple is a software company. In much the same way you could say Synology is a software company. Anybody can make a NAS. It's the software that differentiates them, for better or for worse. But I appreciate the question. Let's see. Shane Perkins says, I've used this machine as an NVR and came home with no bootable drive present after a Windows update. What is he talking about? There's no Windows updates that apply to Synology. As an NVR, that would mean, let's say you've got security cameras. The security cameras record to the Synology, and then maybe there's an app on your Windows computer or your phone that connects to the NAS to see the recordings from the security cameras. That has nothing to do with the recordings. It has nothing to do with the NVR because you got a Windows update and you had a problem with the Windows app. Everything's still on the Synology. So I don't understand. That doesn't make any logical. Maybe there's more information to that, but the way you just said it, it's not a thing. It's not like you're paying it out to be like, I lost everything. No, it's all still there. All right, so what do you think? Should we try this? I just realized I didn't turn my ceiling fan on and it's getting really warm in here. So I'm gonna step around and get the ceiling fan on because it is August in Phoenix, which means it's miserable. Super, super hot. And we're going to demonstrate live. We're going to take the drives that we're using. This was literally shut off 10 minutes before the show started. We leave this on 24/7. We're going to take these drives out, and because the drive trays are different, we're going to have to take the drives out of the trays. When the trays are the same, you can just move them from one Synology to another. That's another benefit, by the way. In this case, though, I am happy to upgrade these trays because I love these trays. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take out the Synology drives that are in this unit that we put in on Friday's show. And again, if you look at other manufacturers, look how difficult this process can be with others compared to how simple this is on Synology. There's like a little lip right here, and if I grab it and pull it, that little drive rail just pops right off. It requires very little effort and zero tools. We don't have to use screws like some other NAS units. We don't have a metal tray that can ground against the back of a circuit board. That would not be good. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a drive from up here. By the way, there's no particular order you need to put these drives in. That's why when other NAS manufacturers number the tray 1, 2, 3, that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. It is so silly. Basically, you're saying, I don't know how a NAS works. I don't understand RAID. Let's make it look pretty and give them unnecessary numbers to put them in an unnecessary order the same every time. However, my OCD want to make sure I don't skip a drive. I'm going to do 1 to 1, 2 to 2, and 3 to 3, but for a completely different reason. So these are the drives we've been using. Oh, they're still warm. Does this look like a Synology drive to you? No. How have I been using it this whole time? I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to be like most other NAS reviewers and keep that a secret for imaginary reasons. All right, is that sarcastic enough? All right, set that over there. Put this one in here. So my main thing, and the reason why I started this YouTube channel, was precisely for stuff like this, where you got all these people who have no experience. They're taking what they're reading and seeing online as though it were truth, and then they're propagating it out, expanding that truth. And then before you know it, you have a flood of misinformation or incomplete information. And I'm sitting here dumbfounded going, what happened to the world where everybody stopped verifying information? Well, everybody's saying it, it must be true. Please, please, let's run a social experiment. I want everybody to say, Kerry has $1 million in his checking account. Can we all do that? Can you spread the word, Kerry has $1 million in his checking account? Because if this works, I would really like that $1 million in my checking account. And if that's how that works, is all we have to do is keep repeating it until it becomes true, please, please spread the word that I have $1 million in my checking account. I'll follow up and let you know if it works. I think this guy's Gen X. He's very sarcastic. I love these drive trays. That is so cool. All right, now with the other drive trays, by the way, I don't need to keep these together. Like, these little rails will fit in any of them, but again, this is my OCD. Just put it back the way it was. So I'm just going to put these in here for right now. All right. This is the hardest part of the whole freaking migration. Is just, and normally the drive trays are interchangeable on most Synologies. In fact, the gentleman there with the what was the model he had done? The 9-year-old model, the drive trays probably just slide out and go into the new model. Unless he's getting this one. This one's drive trays are pretty damn cool. I really like them a lot. They're just butter smooth, easy to insert the drive, remove the drive. The rails come off. You know, on the Minis Forum NAS, I had to get a screwdriver and pry these apart. They were in there so tight. And even getting the drives to go in, it's just really tight. And then when I pushed down the lever to lock it in, it sounded like it was cracking. So they got some polishing to do there. Some of these competitors just haven't nailed the drive trays down the way Synology has. And it's one of those little things. It's just something that stands out to me, because if it were easy to do, then why isn't everybody doing it? So I have to imagine this is not an easy thing to accomplish. And having worked with TerraMaster and QNAP and ASUS Store, Rico, Minis Forum, I'd say maybe QNAP and Synology would be the closest to similar on this. Oh, what am I doing? What am I doing? I need that. All right, let's grab the next one. These are all full, so we're gonna do all 5. Full migration. Peter VZ joining us from the Netherlands with a €1 super chat. Thank you, Peter. Butter. It's just butter. It's so easy. So these are the ones I'm putting back, and I'm just going to set them aside here. Billy Man says the only complaint that I can remember with my Synology 1812 was the drive trays not staying closed after a couple years. So I would just lock them with the key. Oh, that's interesting. I've never had any problems with the drive trays from Synology, but I've seen some for sale on eBay where the trays were busted. They're like selling it as is, and you know, a couple busted trays, you see some tape on it. What are people doing to their Synology trays? But you know, I don't know. I wasn't there, so. There's nothing wrong with Synology drives. They're not necessarily even more expensive. It's just that they don't make the larger capacities, and they may not be available everywhere in the world. So it's sort of unfortunate to have such a capable device being artificially limited by a marketing decision. It's not a technical decision, it's a marketing decision. Make no mistake about it. The problem is, you know, it looks like Synology wants to be like Apple. Apple's $1 trillion company. What company doesn't want to be $1 trillion company? How many companies are there in the world, and how many are $1 trillion companies? And what do you think Synology's odds of success are? You might want to play for the NFL. You might want to be a lead actor in a movie. What are your odds of success? I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't think it's likely that Synology will succeed if in fact that's what they're trying to do, because it certainly appears that way. And how long can they afford this marketing if it doesn't pay off? So we'll see how it plays out. I don't have a crystal ball, but in the meantime, it also gives their competitors an opportunity to step up. And we'll see which one happens first. Andy Kane joining us from Ireland says hello in the chat room. Welcome in, Andy. W.E. Holmes says, I lost my drive key. I'll have to use a screwdriver. Or you can just buy a set of keys on eBay, or Amazon even sells them. They're really inexpensive, a couple bucks. Or you can use a screwdriver. Where were we? Drive 4? I'm confused. Did I miss one? I think I missed one here. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we're on 4. I'm looking for the Synology. I was looking for a blank, and I'm like, wait a minute, not blank yet. Because we put 4 Synologies in this Friday. And again, these are 4 terabytes each. The drives I'm putting in are Seagate Iron Wolf drives. They're 20 terabytes each. And these are bought, I purchased them refurbished, renewed. I've never had one fail. And I've been buying the renewed drives now for it's been about 8 years. Never seen one fail. I'm not telling you yours won't fail if you buy one. I'm just telling you what my experience is. And I'm just being honest with you. That's why I keep going back and buying more. I'm hoping if I buy enough of them, I'll eventually find one to fail, eventually. And by going to 8 drives, the odds of that happening have now doubled from having 4, right? Okay, so there's our 4th one. Now I'll put these back in. And then we had expanded from our 4 to a 5th, so I bought another one. Now, the label looks a little different, but they're all Iron Wolf 20 terabyte. How easy this is. Come on. If I were to edit this video and speed up this process, go right to the migration and the script, this whole video would be 3 minutes or under. It would easily fit under a TikTok video length or a YouTube short video length. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the one I want right there. Empty one, finally. We went out, we purchased 3 more of these. So I will be expanding into these 3, but we got to do the migration first. Also, I've never had a drive cache before, and on Friday's show, we enabled that drive cache. Well, the problem with the drive cache, potentially, and I'm not sure how Synology deals with it, but I don't want to change the RAID array out, but leave the SSD cache there to write back any data from the previous configuration or the previous array. So before the show, I logged in and I just erased and disconnected that array. The drives are still, the SSD NVMe drives are still in there, but they're not associated. They're just sitting there unused. Once the migration has taken place, then I will turn or reconfigure the NVMe cache back on. But I don't want to risk, and again, maybe the Synology software is smart enough to go, hey, this is a different RAID, you've changed it, or maybe in the migration it changes it. I don't want to find out the hard way. So I wasn't really using it anyway. I only built this on Friday, so I simply deleted that storage pool, just removed it. But I left the drives in there. Okay, so that's the hard part done. Now, as I mentioned, the migration's really simple, really painless. And the drive trays, usually you can take, like let's say I want to migrate from this one to this one. They usually don't even have to change the drive trays out. See what I'm saying? So after we migrate from this one to this one, I will migrate from this one to that one. After the migration, we do, well, yeah, after the migration, we run that script and we're good. We already got a Synology update. We're now on DSM 722 update 4. I did not have to rerun the script. Didn't change anything with regards to drive compatibility. Just so you know, it's already, DSM has already been updated recently. It had no impact on the script. Just in case you're wondering, what if? It's already happened, no problems. All right, with that, we're all plugged in. Let's turn this bad boy on and let's start this process. I gotta find my power button. This is still new to me, so I know it's up here somewhere. Can't find the power button. Listen, if a guy can't find the power button, can still do a migration and work around the drive limitations, pretty sure you're gonna be just fine. Let's see. Is it off to the side? Am I just looking at a weird angle? I gotta come around this side. Is it over here? Oh, it's down underneath. I was thinking this was the bottom of the unit, but there's a little USB there. And I'm guessing I've got a power button under there. See here, this is the bottom of the NAS, this is the bottom, but here, there's still stuff under here. Is that where my power button is? Man, I cannot see it. I know I didn't have a problem on Friday finding it. Is it on top? Am I sitting on it? No? Well, I remember hitting a power button. Where is it? This is why you don't film live, Carrie, because it's probably right in front of me. Or is it in the back? Why am I not? Oh, this piece here, which looks like an infrared sensor. I'm like, why would this have an infrared sensor? That is the power button. I mean, it couldn't be any more obvious. It's just that it's a shiny black, which looks like the remote sensor, like on a TV, like a remote receiver, or on the end of a remote control. I was expecting a round button, but it does. What a stupid thing. That's just me being not familiar with the product, but still, I am showing you live on camera, even being this unfamiliar, because it's coming from Synology, because it's using the DSM OS that I've been using for years. Once I figure out where everything's located, because they move some things around, you know, with the buttons and the trays, I'm back on the horse, baby, you know? So to access this, we're going to wait for it to beep. That's going to tell us that it booted. And I'm going to open my browser and I'm going to type, well, here, I'll just show you what I'm doing. Open up my display capture, window capture. There we go. And I'm going to type in find Synology.com, right? Because I've typed it before. But it's not booted yet. I need to wait to hear a beep. So we'll just give this a minute. My caps lock, I guess, was on when I did that. Is my caps lock on? No. If we go to search for this right now, it's going to look on the network and it's not going to find anything yet. When you turn on a NAS, it usually takes anywhere from around 3 minutes or so to fire up. And that's why usually these are 24/7, you know, and they get restarted. There was the beep. They get restarted when updates come in, you know, so it's not like they don't get restarted, they don't get turned off. So any minute now, I should find this on the network. Oh, okay, one other thing I just realized. What am I doing? Did I close a window? One thing I just realized was that the 10 gig network card is installed, and I'm plugged into the 10 gig network card, which it can't put the drivers in because we haven't migrated the system over yet. So for this to work, I need to unplug my network cable from the 10 gig card and plug it in over here into one of the 2.5 gig cards. I need to do that first, or as you can witness, the Synology isn't seen on the network. Once the migration is complete and the operating system changes to accommodate this hardware, then it can locate that network card. This is a different network card than what was in this one. That's why there's that discrepancy. As an accessory, it didn't come with this, and as a result, it'll have to identify it, but it can't do that until we migrate first. Now we should be able to see it. See, that's how you know this is live. I wouldn't make those kind of mistakes or oversights on purpose, but it's an easy one to miss. So I'm kind of glad it happened. So because I would forget all about that. In fact, I did forget all about it. Let's see if it pulls anything up now. There it is. All right, so we're going to log in. There's our IP. Just double click on that. We're going to go through as if we're setting this up for the very first time, but it's going to say, hold on a minute, I recognize this. Welcome back. We've detected that you've moved the hard drives from a DS1525 Plus to a DS1825 Plus. You can migrate your data and settings to your new Synology NAS now. So I hit the migrate button. Now, do you want to retain everything or do you want to reset it? Well, think about this carefully. The whole point of the migration is to retain everything, but who knows? Maybe you have other reasons, but we're going to just leave that alone and hit next. Do you want to automatically download and install the latest DSM 722 from the Synology website? Yes, of course. Next. Even though that's already on there, don't worry about it. They're going to verify. All right? And watch how fast this migration takes effect. Now again, if you have a lot of apps installed, it's got to move all that and reconfigure all that. This could take substantially longer. This is all live, shown in real time, because I want you to really understand how fast this is. We've got 100 terabytes worth of drives. That's 5 20 terabyte drives loaded with data. They're about 40% full. And then it does the standard restarting your, NAS with the 10-minute countdown. I don't know where they get the 10 minutes from. It usually takes less than 4 minutes, but we're going to keep it on the screen here. In fact, while we're waiting, let me go ahead and put camera 1 up in the corner. So let me just do this real quick. Put myself up here. Maybe like that. Then we'll turn this back towards the camera so you can see the lights going crazy. And when this restarts, it's going to ask us to log in. We're going to log in with whatever the login was on this unit, not what the login is on this unit. That login is associated to these drives over here that we took out. So when we migrate, you will log in with your login credentials that you were previously using on the unit you're migrating from, not to any login credentials that you may have previously created on the unit you're migrating to. It makes sense when you think about it. If it's a migration, then all your settings, including your login and password, move over to the new unit. Right? Is that not common sense? So I hopefully can remember my login. Actually, now that I think about it, Mara set up the login on this. So I'll have to have Mara log in. The great news is when she logs in, she doesn't have to come over here and do it. She can log in from the computer she's at upstairs when it's ready and enter the name and password. No, wait a minute. Then how am I going to see it? I'll have her come down here. I didn't think that one all the way out. There's a beep. Okay, now it's ready for the login. I can put myself down here. Mara. When I deploy this, I let her, she likes setting up a bunch of stuff where I like to just keep it real simple. And so she puts her own login in it, and I'm like, yeah, whatever makes you happy. And then I have an excuse not to maintain it because I don't know the login. I don't want to know it. If anything happens, we know who to blame. It wasn't me. All right, she was logging in upstairs. I had to yell, so I had muted my microphone, so I'm not yelling in your ear. So let me go full screen back here on camera 1. And let's take a quick look here in the chat room what you guys are saying. Greg said he had a DS220. He upgraded to 26 terabyte Seagate drives. He used to have 16 terabyte. Yeah, that's real easy. You don't have to worry about a script. Bajin Guy says hello, joining us. Shane Perkins said, I did regedit mod to disable Windows Update, yet still the update happened. Well, clearly you didn't do it right. It's not, whose fault is that? Yes, if you don't do things correctly or the information you have is wrong, it's not going to work. That's not a Windows Update problem. That's an end user problem. Scott says, Carrie, can you use the 5 bay to back up the 8 bay? Well, if the 8 bay has 8 20 terabyte drives and the 5 bay has 5 20 terabyte drives, how are we going to put 160 terabytes of data onto 100 terabytes of data storage? So on the other hand, if we upgraded the 5 bay to 30 terabyte drives, then we'd have 150 terabytes. But this still has the capacity of 8 times 20, 160 terabytes. So that's still, so the answer is up until we reach the capacity limit of the 5 bay NAS, yes. If we're not anywhere near that capacity limit, like we're not right now, then yeah, we could back it up to that for sure, yes. We just have to find a place to put it and configure Synology OneDrive, and it could happen automatically on its own, which is really nice, but we don't do that. And I see Mara.
Log in upstairs.
Okay, that doesn't help me.
No.
I was thinking about it. I'm like, oh, she could log in upstairs. Well, no, it's gonna work. So I'll tell you what, we're on camera 1. Let me pull up, you can come around, say hello to everybody. So right now we're on camera 1, and you're the star on a Christmas tree.
Yay.
All we see is your head. I'm gonna trade places with you, and we're gonna go over here so people cannot see your login. And I can feel tall. That's the login? Really? I can't wait to see you figure that.
None of your beeswax.
You're on camera, so hopefully people can't read that piece of paper that you just put right in front of the camera. I don't think they could see it, but I don't know. I guess without knowing the login name, it won't help them much. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Let's see. We're going to go over to the window capture. And now we're logged into this 1825. Now, what you'll notice here, it says drive 5 is not on the Synology compatibility list, blah, blah, blah. This is all your new setup stuff, but it does still carry over all of the previous configuration, but still gives you sort of all the new info, the same old boilerplate nonsense that you would get from a brand new, just configured NAS. If you look at the storage manager right now, okay, so Carrie, what if Synology makes it so the patch doesn't work? Well, then this would be the situation where your NAS still works, but you'll notice it's in a caution state. And here it's saying 31 terabytes are being used and 38 terabytes are available. So we've got a lot of stuff on here, but you see the migration kept everything. We haven't lost anything. And these drives would ordinarily be green as the NVMe drives display here, but we haven't created a storage pool. So what I need to do is run the script. If we go to our task manager, so just to show you how easy this is, here in the control panel, there's task scheduler right here. And right here it says drive compatibility, user defined script. We've already added the script. The script is, it's in our video notes. You copy and paste that and you create this. And when I hit this button and choose run, it's all done. This is what everybody's crying and whining about. Could you ask for that to be any easier? Let's go to our storage manager now. Give it a second. Everything's healthy, everything's happy, everything fully works 100%, no problems. But you might say, what if you wanted to expand your array? Because I wasn't able to expand it or repair it if these drives appear in red. So let's try that right now. Let me come back over to camera 1. let's see, where's my camera? Right here, okay. Okay. I don't want to add 3 drives at once. I'm just going to do one at a time. Got one right over here. Brand new, well, renewed, but brand new renewed Iron Wolf 20 terabyte. By the way, these don't all have to be the same size or the same make and model. You can mix and match. Synology Hybrid RAID allows you to do that. However, you should only be using drives that are designed to be used in NASs, because what can happen is premature failure. You might be suffering, like if you put regular desktop hard drives in this, from my personal experience, they last about a year. When you put NAS, drives made for NASs, I haven't seen one of these drives fail in about 8 years. Again, I can only tell you from my own experience. So I'm convinced I'm not going to try and cheap out, especially when I have so much to lose. Rather just do it once, buy once, cry once, be done with it. All right, so we're going to take out number 6. Okay, number 6. So I was ready to copy and paste that script into the task scheduler, but it carried it over because it was part of our previous configuration. So that even saved me a step. Once you've created that task in your task scheduler, you never have to recreate it again. You can even have it auto run, which I've not set the task to run on its own. But if I wanted to, I could have told it every time I start the NAS, regardless if it gets an update or I've done a migration, always run the script. So it runs every time the system starts, and I would never have to run it manually. The reason I've got it set to run manually is if at any time it stops working, I want to know exactly when and what caused it. And if I automate it, I'll never know. I may not even realize it's even happened. So because I'm teaching and demonstrating in my YouTube channel, I need to have real-world experience on reliability and frequency of how many times I have to run it. And so far, since we've started all this, it's only needed to be run one time. Even after Synology did update 4, it did not need to be rerun, and it does not run on it, unless I run it, it does not run on its own. So it's a one-time fix right now. And again, even if I have to run it, you saw how fast that was, 2 seconds. Now, you notice I'm doing this while the system is on. That's what NASs are designed to do. This is one of the things I'm not a fan of when people build their own NASs from an old computer. A lot of times you have to shut that computer down, you've got to open it up, you've got to get a screwdriver. This is all fine and dandy for a home lab or your own personal agenda. But for me in a business, I need to be able to do this during business hours. And this, like if Mara was copying data to this now, she could still do this, and nothing I'm doing at the same time will have any impact on her other than it might be less responsive. So we're going to plug this in, and then we're going to watch what the Synology says now. Check this out. Go back over here to our desktop, back to our storage manager. It's still initializing drive 6, so it's spinning it up, and it's identifying it, and it takes a minute, right? Just like when you turn the NAS on, it takes a couple minutes for it to initialize. Part of that, here we go. The system detected a newly installed drive. Okay, great. So let me refresh. I guess the easiest way will just be to close and reopen the storage manager. Okay, so drive 6 shows it's green, but you'll notice it's got these diagonal lines, meaning it's kind of orphaned. So we want to expand our array with it. So if we go under our storage pool, where is it? No, under hard drives. These are our NVMe drives. This is disk 6. Manage available drives. Add a drive for storage expansion. Or do you want to replace a drive? Or do you want to change your RAID type? Or do you want to assign it as a hot spare? Do you want to create a whole nother storage pool? Or do you want to create an SSD cache? Well, later I do want to create the SSD cache. I'm not ready to do that yet. What I want to do is just add this drive to my, and extend and expand my current storage. Which one? Well, I only have one. You'd think it'd be intelligent enough to not have to ask me this, but okay. Storage pool 1, obviously. Which drive? Well, there's only one to pick. I don't know why it's not pre-selected. All right, your estimated capacity is going to be 90 terabytes after you do this. All right, great. Next. It says, this operation will expand the storage pool capacity resulted in unallocated space. If you plan on using it as a single volume, you can further allocate that capacity to volume 1 and extend it. So yes, I want to expand the capacity of volume 1. Okay, great. Next. This is just a summary. This is what you're going to do. Yes, apply it. All the data on the newly added drive will be erased. Well, it's a brand new drive. So it's not erasing the data on the volume, only the data on the new drive we added. And since the new drive we added is new, it doesn't have any data. But if it used to, when I click OK, it isn't going to anymore. So don't let that freak you out. We're specifically talking about the drive, the added drive, not the volume. Okay, now what it's going to do is it's going to give us, we should see some sort of progress. This tells us drive 6 is healthy, it's happy. If it came up and said drive 6 wasn't compatible and wasn't going to let us do that, we just go back to the task scheduler, run that one more time. Anytime you change a drive, you might need to do that. But if you're not changing the drive and you're not modifying the NAS, you've got it configured and running, it should stay that way. And then until such time as that should change in the future, I will let you know and update you. But for right now, that's it. It's just kind of a one-time deal. So if we look on volume 1, what does it say here? There it is, adding drives, initializing. So right now it's formatting drive 6 and adding it to the RAID array. And then what it's going to do is it's now going to split all of the shared parity data on the other 5 drives with drive 6. And the data on drive 6 will be then shared in parity to each of the other 5 drives. So you can see on a 20 terabyte drive, it estimates it's going to take 12 days. This estimation will be quickly adjusted to, well, it says 4 days. It'll likely, in reality, from previous experience, take about 3.5 days. So today's Sunday, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Monday will be 1 day. Tuesday will be day 2. So probably about this time, be a little bit later on Wednesday, maybe by the late evening, it'll be done. And then that's it. Then I can take drive 7, pop it in there, do this again, get another 20 terabytes of available storage. Then 3.5 days later, add drive 8, run it again. Once all that's done, and again, this isn't necessarily the most efficient way, but I like to do things one thing at a time. Then I will recreate the storage pool on the cache and assign it to storage volume or storage pool 1. And Mara is standing there grinning like a Cheshire cat.
So excited. You have a wonderful and surprising email.
Wonderful and surprising.
And surprising.
All right, well, we're not going to just stare at this all day because now there's nothing else to look at. So I'm going to come back over here to camera 1. I'm going to try to. And let me open up the chat room. Here we go. Now, what I want you to consider is if you were me and you know what I know, which you do now, but until I made the content to share what I know, what other content creator has demonstrated this and showed the script being run without opening up terminal and typing the commands by hand, blah, blah, blah? As far as I can tell, on the whole worldwide internet, nobody has done this. Why? Imaginary reasons. What if? It's one thing for the viewers to say what if, but a content creator saying, well, what if I show it, and as a result of showing it, Synology shuts it down. Well, then what if we just unlock it again? But what if the patch doesn't work? Well, what if we update the patch? Like, we can play this game all day. It's never happened. So if it's happened before and you're worried about it happening again, I'm with you. It's never happened. And until it does, there's no reason to think it will. If it changes, I'll let you know. Let me check the email. This is just the way I was raised, man. Worry and anxiety are beyond your control. But what's in my control is reality, to some extent reality, that the challenges and the obstacles that actually exist, I can overcome. The challenges and obstacles that exist only in my mind aren't really there. It's an illusion. And it causes unnecessary stress and anxiety. And then when you bleed that off to other people, it's almost like a pandemic of the mind. Ooh. Hey, our friend Charlie Purdy sends an Amazon gift card. And wow, very nice Amazon gift card. Holy cow. He goes, this is for the channel. I'm still recovering from major surgery. I'm back at 90%. I hope to stop in today. Please tell Mara her cookie recipe is great and the family loved them. Mara has these low calorie, low carb, zero sugar recipes that are absolutely critical for people who have struggled with blood sugar issues, otherwise known as diabetes, and or just overall hyper or hypo, whatever it is, glycemia. And a lot of people are under the impression they've got to eat stale, bland, not stale, but bland food, and you can't eat something you really enjoy if it doesn't have sugar in it, or tons of carbs, which become sugar. And so Mara's life has been all about alternating well-known recipes using modern ingredients that are replacements and substitutes for those things that aren't good for us, while still maintaining as close as you can the texture and the flavor so that it's actually really enjoyable. And it's just something you have to try. So Mara's got her cookbook on Amazon. Don't buy the Kindle version, it's all screwed up. But she's self-published the I Can't Believe It's Healthy cookbook. And for people in your life that are struggling with blood sugar and the temptation is too great for sugars, they don't know the real the options that exist today are so much better than 20 years ago with regards to replacements. And then with the information online, like Mara gets a lot of inspiration and information from other YouTube channels that create their own recipes and see the glycemic index that it has. Is like they dedicate videos for this, whole channels to this, and that inspires her and introduces her to new products that she can see how they work for her, and then she'll modify them in a way that matches her preferences for flavor, texture, and then she adds them to her recipes. And when she gets enough recipes collected, book 2 will be out, book 3, and book 4. And there you go. So Charlie Purdy tried their cookies and said it's great, and the family loved them. You couldn't ask for a more genuine endorsement. We've never met Charlie in person. And Charlie just sent us an amazingly generous Amazon gift card. We cannot thank you enough for that. That's, I'm speechless. Guess I'm gonna have to buy some more drives. All right, let's see, what do we have going on? So basically, this is gonna have to sit for the next 3 days, but I've got other videos to make. So you should know it's okay that you can shut this down. Like after the show, I'm gonna shut this down. I'm gonna put it back upstairs because I don't need it on camera anymore. When it's back upstairs, I turn it back on. It'll continue rebuilding. It's fine. And that way we can continue to use it and like I said, it might be a little slower than we're used to, but in the meantime, as long as I see all the lights blinking, I know it's working. I don't have to log in and see the status. Probably sometime Wednesday night, I'll look at it and I'll notice all the lights are steady and they're no longer flashing. I will know that's done, and I will know it's time to put in drive 7. And I will repeat that until we get all 8 drives in there. Once that's done, I'll enable the SSD cache. I'll create that storage pool and then turn on the SSD analyzer, because I don't think it's going to help me with very large video files. But I could be wrong, because my files are still smaller than the cache. Maybe, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I'm working on a very large video editing project right now that we posted the first part to yesterday. I don't know if you guys saw, but I found a very large computer recycler here. He's right down the street of all places, and he's been around over 20 years. Where'd he come from? How have I not seen him before? And we did a 2-hour tour of the place, and we've got 2 different cameras, 1 audio source, and I'm trying to do the editing where the room we were in was really dark, trying to brighten the video. The audio was really hollow and echoey because it's a warehouse, and I'm trying to clean the audio, and I'm trying to take source from camera A and source from camera B, and sort of, it's a big editing job, but I can do it in little pieces before I pull my hair out. So I'll be releasing this in several pieces. I don't know how many pieces yet, probably at least 3. And the pieces will be under 10 minutes long. This guy goes through 1,000 computers a month in recycling. 1,000 a month. And not just Windows computers. He's got Apple computers. He's got servers. He's got televisions and video game consoles. If it's electronic, he's an electronics recycler. He's got gaming computers. He's got a ton of off-lease business computers, most of which are Intel-based, you know, because that's where all the computers are being sold. They're not being sold to consumers. Computers are being sold to businesses, and even then usually leased. So when they come off lease, he can determine, you know, what's the scrap value versus the resale value. And that's true of Apple, and that's true of the televisions and the printers and the network switches and the network servers. It's all over the map. This guy, if it's electronic, he'll take it and recycle it. And I saw some viewers leave comments, they just weren't getting it. They're like, oh, what's going to happen with those when Windows 10 runs out of support? What are you talking about? What? I don't think it has anything to do with the printers and the Apple computers and the televisions and the servers and the switches. Oh my gosh, some people, they just can't get outside their bubble. So anyway, I just didn't see that coming. When I saw those comments, I was like, wow, they got 10% of the video they understood. The scale of this is enormous. And the work he's doing, just so you can see the work he's doing at the scale, 1,000 computers a month. And he's just sorting through what's working, what can we resell, what still has life, and what has value as scrap. The scale of this, what a nerd heaven that was to walk in there and be like, oh, and just everything strewn about because it's so chaos, because you've got so much coming in and so much going out on such a big scale. The fact that he stays on top of it is insane. We haven't gotten to it yet, but I know a lot of you see this treasure and you're like, oh man, if that place was closer, I'd buy stuff. If you're in the USA, and we haven't gotten to this part of the video yet, but if you go to Emerald Computer's website and you look at, they have a spreadsheet of inventory. Now that spreadsheet's not updated instantly, so there may be some items on the spreadsheet they don't have anymore. They update it every few weeks. So what you do is, if there's something you want to buy, first of all, go download the spreadsheet. Look through it. It'll list what it is, all the details, and the price. First thing you're going to do is call them and see if it's still available, and then find out if they'll ship it to you. I know in the video he said we ship in bulk. We don't ship just one. He will ship just one in this type of scenario, but he may not have it. So you need to verify. Maybe when you're looking at the spreadsheet, find 2 or 3 things you might want. So if he doesn't have the, if that one's already gone, stuff moves very quickly and new stuff comes in, and that spreadsheet, it's updated every few weeks. I don't know how often. And you might find somebody's thrown away something that you really, really want. And you might be the only one who wants it. So it's a great resource for those tech archaeologists that love to, have the nostalgia of the old times. And, he's just got a little bit of everything. If it's electronic and it plugs in from DJ mixing tables and launch pads to, gosh, we saw gaming controllers, and I'm sure we didn't see it all. Even in 2 hours, we did not see it all. Hard drives and RAM and solid state storage and laptops out the wazoo. Desktops out the wazoo. Everything was out the wazoo. Monitors, printers, servers, professional enterprise networking equipment, home networking equipment. Even I saw a Western Digital NAS just sitting on a shelf by itself. He's got a crate, a full pallet, 4 feet tall, 4 feet tall, of nothing but laptop chargers. If you're looking for a laptop charger, I bet it's somewhere in that crate. Unbelievably insane. And I suspect we'll be making another visit there in the future, maybe more than one. And this guy is very interesting, super nice guy. Love what he's doing. I'm so inspired by him. So yeah, if you haven't watched that video, it's under 8 minutes. It's right in our main channel. Greg says, do you have any knowledge with why Synology hasn't validated any other drives? Synology's been pretty tight-lipped on this. My understanding through the grapevine is Synology is putting that on Seagate and Western Digital. Seagate's telling them, you need to get these drives validated. Not us. We're not going to do it. You do it. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I've heard. Yes.
I'm getting away from the computer because every time I open a YouTube tab, it immediately jumps to like 1.1 gig and climbs like in seconds.
Oh, you're having
the memory link is so bad today, I can't.
Mine hasn't done it once.
Great for you. I don't know.
Check and see if you have a new video driver available.
No.
All right.
No.
I tried.
All right. I work.
It's Sunday.
I would work pretty much 7 days.
You do. I don't think I've worked a day in my life. You see any calluses on these hands? Baby smooth.
I'm an ex-gymnast, so you know there's going to be calluses.
I knew a guy named Jim.
Yeah.
Does that make me an ex-gymnast too?
No, it doesn't.
Oh. Scott says, how do you keep track of that much inventory?
Also, Philly Man had a question about the IP. He wants to know if it retains IP. Yes, it does on the interface that it was plugged into.
Oh, I didn't try plugging into the other interface. That should work now.
So, because it was on
IP. Yeah, so I'm going to plug it back into the 10 gig. Oh, I'm glad you said something because I wanted to verify.
Yeah.
After the migration was complete, it should then have been able to load the driver. You already know it's there?
How do you know that?
Well, it should be, but I want to verify.
All right, you can verify.
Okay, so I'm going to go back over. I'm going to go back over here. Now the 1525 wants me to log in. Oh, it's not. So I got to do the find.synology.com again. And this time it should find it now that it's plugged into the 10 gig interface. I don't know, that doesn't look right. I've had this problem with, I think, is DNS caching, where it's not so that address it was just showing was the previous address on the other network card, and I'm wanting it to renew to whatever the current address is. So probably using the Synology assistant would find it that way, or I can ping the DS1525 to find its address. So to do that, let me open up the display capture so you guys are going to get that video feedback that happens when I do this. Let me go back to camera 1 for a second and go back to display capture. I don't know why I moved it so far to the top of my list. Okay, let's turn that on. If I go to command, and I don't have to run it as administrator, ping the name, what we name this is DS1825. Isn't that what I named it? Or did I name it, I didn't name it server, did I? Hold on a minute, I'm confused. What did I name it? DS, oh, it has the name from the previous unit. So we have to update the name or it's gonna get real confusing because we migrated it. That makes sense. So if we ping that, we can get the IP address. And I'm still not typing it correctly or what? DS1525. That is the name, DS1525. That should work for me. Ping DS1525. Okay, it looks like that 10 gig card isn't initialized. So I'm going to go one more time. I'm going to do one more search. Oh, now it says DS1825. What? Did Mara change it? We do have a different address now. So it does, now it looks like we're okay. And now we can sign into it. Yeah. Yeah, I'm already there. Okay, thank you. All right, that was not confusing at all. So if we ping 1825, that's another way to get the IP address. Okay, just so you know. As long as we know the name of it, we can find it. All right, I'm going to open this back up to turn off my display capture. Hang in there. And let's see if I can put... Put that in there. That should allow me to put the name and password in and bring us back to display capture or window capture. That right there. Yeah, so if we go back in the control panel now, she must have renamed it. See, this is what happens when two people have control of it. So if we look at the network setup here, there's the server name. This is where you can change that information. This would have said 1525. So clearly she did that without telling me. Probably while I've been talking. The network interface, again, we'll see all three, the 2.5 gig, 1, 2.5 gig 2, and the 10 gig number 3. I mentioned before that if you ever do the find.synology.com and yours does not appear, it never finds it, you go to the Info Center under Device Analytics and make sure to check this box to allow the Synology NAS to be displayed in the web assistant. If you're browsing your network and you can't find it, it never appears on your Windows network, then to fix that, you go to File Services, Advanced, and make sure that local network devices can use Windows Network Discovery, access the web interface of DSM, make sure there is a check, and that will resolve the two most common frustrations people have, those two check boxes. Whether or not they're checked by default or people have to, I don't know. I don't know how they get to be in the situation they're in, but that's how you control it. You don't have to wonder why. All right, I can close this. We can check on our progress. I'm sure it hasn't gotten too far. And again, you see how these are solid green? These are in use. These are empty because they're empty, and these are highlighted only because there are drives in there that are not associated to anything yet. Now we can do both of this at the same time. I can go ahead and create my SSD cache, but that means this NAS is going to be busy with this task, adding this drive to the RAID array, and then this task, creating a new volume in an SSD cache, which is going to really make the response time on the NAS so much slower. I don't want to do that. By just doing one or the other, the NAS responsiveness is only mildly slower, but if we try and do too much at the same time, the NAS is going to be busy for days. And then every time I access it, I'm going to be just sitting here twiddling my thumbs going, why is this simple thing I'm trying to transfer a file, why is it taking so long? So it's your choice how you want to do that. I'm one thing at a time kind of guy, and then there's very little degradation to noticeable system performance, to me anyway, by doing it the way I'm showing you. When we go to move this upstairs after the show, I'm going to click on this little guy here, and I'm going to choose shut down. Once it's off, I'll unplug it, take it upstairs, plug it back in, turn it back on, and it'll continue working on adding the storage. But in the meantime, we can still use it. We can still copy files to and from the RAID as we to the NAS. We don't change how we use the NAS. We're still going to continue to use it as though it were already done, and the NAS will accommodate it. I don't know how all this works. It's pretty damn cool. But yeah, you can easily just plug the NAS back in and just get back to work. Whatever you normally do with it, just go back to normally doing that. This will do all the work in the background. When it's done, put another drive in, and again, even if this takes 9 days or 10 days to get all three expansions drives in to expand our RAID array by another 60 terabytes, that means for the next 10 days, I'm not going to have as responsive as a NAS. But by doing them one at a time, the responsiveness isn't going to be that noticeably slower. If I try and do them all at once, then probably going to be dragging for quite a while. It's still going to take probably the same amount of time. So I don't see any advantage to trying to do it all at once. And then if there's a failure, I don't know which one of those drives that I've added could be causing it. If there is an issue, like if the drive fails, clearly the Synology will tell me, but the odds of that happening keep increasing the more we try to change at the same time. By limiting the changes, it also limits the possibility of a problem, and if there's a problem, it makes the diagnostic a lot faster. So let's see. So while that's running, the next thing I would do is I would migrate out of the 923 into the 1525, and the reason I'll do that is the 925, did I call it a 923? The 925, 1525, 1825. This has got all of my YouTube video backups that I've talked about on the members only video. And this is 2.5 gig only. There's no 10 gig upgrade for this. Do I need it? No, I absolutely don't need it. Not today. But I've got it. So if one of them is going to sit on the shelf, do I need the extra drive for storage? No, but I'll put an extra drive for storage in it for the same reasons. It's good drive testing. You'll notice these drives are different. I'm doing something out of the box here. I have heard that Seagate, wait a minute. I take that back. These are 22 terabyte Ironwolf Pros. So what I need to do is get one more 22 terabyte Ironwolf Pros. And we're going to go through the same process. When I plug this in and turn it on, I need to log in with the user credentials assigned to this NAS, migrate it, just as I've done, run the script, which is already in there, just hit the run button under the task scheduler. And then when I get the 22 terabyte drive, add it into the tray and do the exact same thing. You see the difficulty I'm having putting this tray in? Part of the reason is because I'm trying to do it backwards. But the less expensive the NAS is, I've got to tell you, especially on the third party, well, not third party, but the competitors in the NAS space, very few have figured this out as well as Synology has. And those that have are more similar in price to Synology. And again, you could say, well, it's not a big deal. How often are you doing it? In the 1980s, we used to judge how good a cassette deck was and if the door would open slowly. Like if you hit the eject button and your cartridge came out like a slice of toast, we knew that was a cheap cassette deck. But if you hit that eject button and it has little shocks and it opens nice and slow like the spaceship door, we just knew that was a higher end, more expensive cassette player. Was it really? It did seem to be that way in reality. There probably were exceptions, but overall that was a sign you were dealing with something better made. These things lose a lot of weight when you take the drives out. This thing weighs nothing now. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to do the same migration from the 925 to the 1525, and then we're going to add a 22 terabyte drive, which I don't think I've got. And remember, we've got the Exos drives. Those are the 26 terabyte drives. That's what I was thinking I put in here. But those are what we're using currently on Arico in minis form to do that testing. And they still have a ways to go to really, I honestly feel like they shouldn't be selling them right now. They're not ready yet. They're still being worked on. But if you're okay with that and you like to be first, they're a really good price. Like you get a lot for your money, but it's not fully operational. It's 80% operational. When they get to 100%, then we can honestly compare them, but it's unfair to compare them at this point because the product's not, their operating system's not done yet. And I don't know if it'll be done tomorrow or a year from now. I have no idea. But that's why we're holding on to the minis form and the Arico. We set back the Ugreen because without any guarantees, I'm not holding on to that Ugreen at $600. It's not worth it to me. If I find out Ugreen has addressed the guest account, I'll buy it again at that time. So again, these are my values and the way that I'm investing my money. And the way I see it with the 26 terabyte drives, I can reuse those in other things. They're not necessarily having to be tied to those NAS units if it turns out they just never come to fruition or companies give up. I don't know, but I can always repurpose the drives. All right, let me get back over to the chat room. Icarana says, I want a toaster that flings the toast against the ceiling just because it sounds super funny and it'd be a great conversation starter and scare the hell out of the cat. All right, I'm sure I've missed a lot of the discussions in chat. So if you had a question I missed, please do ask it again. But in the meantime, I'm going to try and scroll up here to see if I can identify anything I've missed. But I am going to scroll through this relatively quick. Andy says, oh, the different trays mean it's not quite plug and play. Well, again, same trays on the 925 to the 1525. But I'll tell you what, the 1825 drive trays are super nice. They're butter, silky, smooth. Worth it. Totally worth it. Now my browser crashed. Our friend Buster saying good night. Hey, Buster, thanks for hanging out with us today. We'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow during the members only video. Every Monday, we do videos specifically for our members. The members are what enable us to do these videos because we don't have any sponsors. So essentially, your viewership as a member is our sponsor. Your viewership as a viewer that doesn't, that's just giving us your view, we might make a 1/20th of a penny on every view now. It's gotten really bad. So we need 20 of you to earn 1 penny on 1 view, and we would need you to view at least 1,000 times to make $10. That's, again, I cannot emphasize what a critical role our members play, and everybody you see in green there is a member, and that gives us our independence to be able to be honest and not worry about repercussions from a company that we're not going to send you any more product or some other game they like to play. They being, you know, some companies. Synology's been fine with us. They've had no problem with us at all. We love working with them. They're a pleasure to work with. Because I got news for you, I'd end up buying them anyway. So, shh, don't tell them that. There's Rick Lakes joining and says hello. Welcome in to Rick Lakes. Greg wants to know if I can go to the resource monitor and go to disk custom view and see the speed of the disks. I've never done that, but I guess sure. So you want me to go where now? Go to the resource monitor, go to disk custom view. See if I can remember all that. Resource monitor. Right now, there's your numbers on the read and write that's happening during the, because we're not doing anything over the network right now. So that's got to be internal on the rebuild. I've never looked at this stuff before. This has 8 gigs of RAM in it by default. That's the way it ships. We're using 12% of it. Pretty low CPU utilization on this as well during this expansion and RAID extension. That's why I barely notice any. I do notice a little bit of slowness on it, you know, when it's doing this. But overall, you know, copying to or from the NAS isn't really impacted very much. Of course, and once it's done, when am I ever going to do it again? Once I have all 8 drives in there, it'll likely stay that way for years. So I don't mind investing a few days and setting it up and maybe having it not respond as quickly as it normally does for, you know, maybe 10 days out of its, you know, 4,000 or 5,000 day lifespan, potentially. I mean, if we had it for 10 years, which is not uncommon on a NAS, that's going to be 3,650 days. I might have exaggerated those days there earlier. I was trying to do the math in my head. All right, well, there you have it. There's your numbers. Thank you for the question. All right, let me get back over to camera one, see what else is on your minds. Scott says a 4-bay would work good for me as a home user. That's how everybody starts. Until you need that 5-bay, I'm telling you. Andy says, what's the downside of adding 3 more drives at the same time? Well, I've already discussed that. The potential for a problem, figuring out what the problem is, the length of time and weight on the system, and the resource consumption being much greater. I don't have any desire personally to try it out. I'm not willing to risk my data or have this be slower during rebuilding, potentially 3 times slower, because I'm trying to throw everything in. I think it's a big mistake. And I think anybody who's a professional knows this. And I don't mean that in a negative way. What I mean is if you look at what mechanics do and how they work, somebody who's been a mechanic for a long time, someone who's been a plumber, somebody who does any kind of repair work, you don't want to try and do any multiple repairs simultaneously beyond, what you're comfortable with as the person doing the work and what you have at risk and how much time it's going to cost you if everything doesn't work out exactly right. So let's say you're an electrician and you change out every outlet and every switch in a room or in the house, and you turn the breakers all back on and the breaker just keeps resetting. You got to figure out which room was this breaker, which thing did I just do? Is it an outlet? Is it a switch? And you got to diagnose that. And whatever time you thought you were saving is costing you 10 times longer in trying to figure out what went wrong. So if you limited it to, let's say, just doing the outlets alone, or the outlet and switch or switches in a single room, 1 breaker at a time, then you'd know exactly, or you would be limiting how much diagnostic you'd have to do to find where the short circuit is or where the faulty component is. By doing slow and steady, you're going to get there faster, more consistently. Slower is faster, especially when you're doing it at scale. Right? So if you're just doing it one time and you want to roll the dice, have fun. But I would never do that to a customer, and I won't do it to myself. So that's, if that answers your question, Andy, that's why I don't. I one step at a time. And that controls how bad my fall could be. Big Sky Kodiak with a $20 super chat. He says, hello from a balmy but not humid 82 degrees in Great Falls, Montana. Right on. We don't get too many viewers from Montana because there aren't that many people in Montana. I've sort of been to Montana when I went to Yosemite National Park. I exited Yellowstone. I exited Yellowstone National Park out of that north side, just so I could say I've been to Montana. And whatever the closest pizza place was is where I went, and I had pizza, and then I came right back into Yellowstone. I think I was at Mammoth Springs. I think I had a cabin, and it was right there. So if I'm remembering this right, it was a long time ago. So technically, I've been to Montana. Only about this far in, but I was in there. Thanks for joining us. Thank you for your super chat. Tech Gamer just became a supporter. Thank you, Tech Gamer. Thank you for supporting us here. Welcome into membership. Again, as a reminder, as a member, you have access to members-only videos. So every Monday, we go live at 1 o'clock, only for our members. So the chat room is a lot less crowded, and the content's a lot more informal. A little bit more you and me time, if you like. And you also have access to all of our videos that are older than 12 months old. That's our video archive that's open to members only. And we often do giveaways and stuff for our members. So, keep your eyes peeled for that as well. Big Sky says it's just me and my sister in this area code, it feels like. Man, talk about having some personal space. Sign me up. Greg says I was talking about the hard drive speed. Did we not, did I not show you what you asked to see? Am I missing something? See the speed of the disks. The rotation platter speed, the data transfer speed. Let's go back in there and look. I don't know if I showed it or I didn't show what you wanted. Like I said, I never even go in here, so it's all new to me. Custom view. Is that what you want to see? We're not using the cache. Starting to get some data in there now. So I think that's what you were asking for. That's really confusing how that works. I'm going to just let that run, and we'll come back over here to camera 1, and we'll check back in on it and see how it, what that chart looks like, you know, in a few minutes. I learn something new every day. So one of my hard drives on my desk is pointing the wrong way. You shouldn't have pointed that out to me. 2 of them were pointing the wrong way, I think. Oh no, just the top one. I see. I see. These Synology drives are good drives. They're just, you know, the 4 terabyte drives. So they're not big enough for me to really use other than for demonstrations. But hey, nothing wrong with Synology drives, by the way. I just want to use the ones I've already got, that's all. And I need more capacity than they offer. The drives themselves, they're fine. Just can't get them in the capacity I want. And again, that easy script you just saw me execute, non-issue. Use what you want. I'm just looking through the chat, see if I missed anything. Rick Lake said, I watched your video already. Just the one video I have? You just watched that one? It's completely out of context. I mean, thank you, but I don't know watched what video about what when. I'm confused. If you're asking for help with something and you watched a video and you're still asking, because I was talking to David Graham earlier, you know, I don't know. I don't see any questions from him. Scott says he's been to Arizona before. He crossed the Hoover Dam, had to be 115 degrees Fahrenheit that day. I've crossed that Hoover Dam so many times. Thank goodness they built the freeway around it. I mean, it's pretty and everything. It's just very slow driving, twisty mountain, go down and then come back out, and twisty mountain, go back up again, and then come back down again. After you do that about a half dozen times, it loses its wonder and it just want to get through it. But, you know, driving on top of the dam never gets old. That's worth it every time. But now I just take the freeway, just go around it. You wouldn't even know it was there. No slowing down necessary. So the guys over at, I was talking about this place, Emerald Computers. If I come over here and just look for Emerald Computers, it brings up this website. I was really surprised the interest that people had in this old stuff that, you know, again, one person's trash is another person's treasure. But so many people that commented were commenting about the treasure aspect from their perspective. So if we look and say, well, look, they have a computer pricer, custom built systems, new computers, used and refurbished. Warehouse items, let's see. We have a huge junkyard for computers. Yep. They've got batteries, monitors, keyboards, mice, networking. They got lots of mice. Speakers, hard drives, huge piles of used drives, RAM, office chairs, office furniture, power cords, every cable of every kind you can possibly imagine, and more that they don't even, there's so much. Basically, when people take electronic related items to them to recycle, they don't say no. So they get all kinds of crazy stuff. There should be some current inventory here somewhere. Let's see. Used and refurbished. Click here for our current used computer list. Well, that's going to open up a spreadsheet. So it looks like they updated this June 25th of 2025. Everything's got at least a 30-day warranty. Most have 90 days warranty, and they can upgrade the RAM and storage in most cases. They will ship any laptop to any continental, anywhere in the USA, continental US location for only $20. I think this is $25. I think he told me $25. But basically, if you want to order a laptop for a flat $25 rate is what he told me, but it says $20 here, you know, call him to verify that. And if you want to, you know, order 2 or 3 laptops, he says here additional laptops shipped for free, but when he told me yesterday was additional laptops, just added $10 to the shipping cost. But so there's a little discrepancy between what I remember he said and what is written here. But basically, because inventory moves so quickly, if you see something you want to call their number. Now, they're not open today. They're not open on, I don't think they're open on Sundays. But other than that, call them during regular business hours. and ask him if it's still available. And this list is massive. And this list will be constantly changing as inventory comes and goes. Okay? So if they don't have what you want now, don't fret. There's a good chance it'll be in again soon. Desktops can be shipped are usually $40 to ship a desktop anywhere in the continental United States. So this is where you can get your onesie twosie stuff versus you know, if you want to buy in bulk by the pallet load, then he'll give you an even better deal. A couple of all-in-ones. They have another location, so they have 2 different stores. This is a smaller kind of retail-only store for, you know, consumers to shop at. So you see a lot of Dell, Latitude, Inspiron, XPS. That 9350, I think I owned one of these. I think it cost me $2,200. I could pick it up for 350 bucks. No, mine was an 8th gen. This is a 6th gen. Here's a 9th gen, so that's going to be Windows 11. Oh, look, it even says Windows 11. It looks like they're forcing Windows 11 on some of these that really shouldn't have, but that's his business. If that's what he wants to do, I wouldn't want to support it, but I guess he's willing to. Here's some old 2nd gen i3s. You know, and again, the price is going to reflect, you know, 125 bucks, 4 gigs of RAM, 250 gig hard disk drive, optical drive. This has an NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1050. This is an HP Pavilion gaming desktop with that graphics card in it. Ooh, this must be expensive. $3,000. Why is that so much money? It's an i9 10900KF, 1 terabyte NVMe, 8 terabyte hard drive, and an RTX 3090 with 24 gigs of RAM. I think his prices are very fair for used equipment, and he's being very transparent in what you're getting and what you're not getting, and the price pretty much reflects exactly what you would expect. You know, 75 bucks for an old Intel Pentium J245 old IBM or Lenovo Idea Center. All right, so just to give you an idea what that's like over at their website, if you want to check it out, you might find something there that is much more valuable to you than it is to me. But again, he's got a little of everything, so can accommodate all budgets and all requirements, even custom building. Plus they do repairs, they do data recoveries, they do upgrades. They'll take your old system in exchange for a new system, and like a car trade. Think of them as more like a pawn shop. You're not going to get top dollar because they have to be able to, first of all, go through all the time and effort to take it apart, go through it, make sure if it's resellable. If it's not resellable, it's going to go be sold for parts, then that's a whole different value. And if it is resellable, the time it takes for them to wipe and reinstall. He actually said he doesn't reuse any drives off of used computers. They put all brand new drives in them, so they don't have to worry about anybody getting any data stolen. So they do have some expense in preparing it for resale. So it's similar to a pawn shop in that if you want to get the most amount of money for your trade-in, sell it yourself, just like a car, exactly like a car. But if you want one-stop shopping, you give them your old one, they give you a new one. They'll even transfer the data from the old one to the new one for you. There may be an extra fee depending on how you negotiate that out. It's all standard practice for them. So just so you know, they work with people. What do you want? What do you need? How can we help you? His goal is if a customer wants something he doesn't have, he'll do what he can to get it. He's got a great attitude. I asked about like VoIP phones. He goes, he doesn't do them. He's not been able to sell like used VoIP phones. They just go right to the recycler. Nobody wants to buy them. But if somebody were to call him and say, hey, I'd like to, get some VoIP phones installed in my office, he'll make that happen. He'll call. He's got contacts all throughout the industry that he knows and he trusts, and he'll get it taken care of for you. So he's got a great can-do attitude where the buck stops with him. What do you need? He can get it. And he's very fair on his pricing. I mean, just shop around. Compare his prices to others for similar. And I think you'll find he's probably got the best inventory and the cheapest prices outside of maybe finding somebody on eBay or something. Like consistently as a business, I don't think anybody can touch his inventory or prices. But, do your own research and decide for yourself. I was blown away by it. Absolutely. The scale. Oh my gosh. 1,000 a month. How many a day is that? What? And he says the Sanford and Son of computers. Yeah, but Sanford and Son always had the same junk. This guy's junk comes and goes quickly. 1,000 computers a month are going out the door. One way or another. They're either being resold and repurposed. So, maybe 60-40. And then the rest of it is just too old. Nobody wants it. It has no value. It'll go to like scrap yards where they will extract the gold off of the circuit boards and strip them down for any valuable materials the parts are made from. And anything that's recyclable that can be reused again, that all gets separated out. And that's a whole business. He doesn't do that, but he has obviously a recycler. And he's got to sift through what can be resold, what needs to be recycled. W.E. Holmes says it's fun restoring an old computer. You should trying to restore 1,000 a month. You might find it's not so fun anymore. It's 30 days in a month, and if you worked 7 days a week, you would have to go through, if you did 10 computers, if you did 30 computers a day, in 30 days, you'd get through 900 of them. That still wouldn't be enough to keep up, because he's doing 1,000. What does that work out to? They can't do 30 a day. Like one employee can't do that. One employee could do maybe 20, like laptops, when you include the sort of inventory of it, cleaning it up, blowing all the dust out of it, reinstalling Windows or replacing the drive, installing Windows drivers, updates, running the test. The way he described it to me is they'll set up 10 laptops on the bench, and those 10 laptops will go through the refurbish thing, and then when they're being tested, they'll run overnight. So while the batch from yesterday is running overnight, when they come in tomorrow, or they come in the next day, that batch, you can see if everything passed, those are done. The next batch of 10 are lined up. And then when those 10 are running their burn-in, that's about half your day, then the next 10 go up. So one person can do about 20 a day at that pace. And then sort the good from the bad, and then determine what has, even as spare parts, what has value versus what is just so old and unlikely to ever need any spare parts, it'll go to scrap. And then which scrap does it go to? And then there's different types of recyclers. That'll take the fun out of it, let me tell you. The Rick Ash solo band said he must not sleep at night. I asked him that question. He said the secret was delegating. And I said, oh, okay. I have to do everything myself. I don't trust anybody to do it. So yeah, he's just got people he trusts, and he hires good people. He said, and we'll see if I can include this in the interview, but he said when he's hiring people, he looks for techs who love tech work.
that they love their job. When they go home, they mess around with tech at their house. They help friends and family with their tech, that they just live, breathe, and eat tech. That's what he's looking for in his employees. True enthusiasts that just can't get enough. And from what I saw, from just kind of, I didn't really talk to any of the employees, but I was watching them work. Nobody looked like they didn't want to be there. You know, they were busy. And I was overhearing one of the techs talking to a customer that was in the store at the time, and just really, really amiable, really super friendly, like, you know, we'll do this for you while you wait if you like. And then towards the end of the day, when we were there, the customer, it was just a couple hours. They were wrapping it up with the customer, and they're like, here you go. Please let us know if there's anything else we can do for you. If you need some help, we'll take it out to your car for you. Reach out to us anytime. You know, thank you for shopping here. Like, they're just super, super nice. They probably wouldn't hire me. I'm not that nice. Get your crap and get out. The soup Nazi. No computer for you. Next. Sorry, Carrie, we're going to have to let you go. I was really blown away by it. Very impressed. And the fact it's been down the street this whole time. Better late than never. He said they must restore them at the other location. No, the other location is just like a retail store. Everything you're seeing, all the actual work is being done at the location we were at in Peoria. The Sun City location is a very small, almost like cell phone sales size building. And no work is being done over there. That's just mostly just the sales. Scott said if 30% go to recycling, that still leaves 650 to fix. Yeah, but you got to determine by looking at each one if it's scrap or fixable. That all takes time, right? That's the point. And I think it's a higher percentage. I think it's 40%. He's got he bought a batch of these video cards, I think RTX 5060s, but the firmware has been modified. And he bought them real cheap, and he bought 1,000 of them. And they have to go through each one and test them. This is just sharing a story. And again, this is all recorded on video, and I might include it in the interview, I might not. But I'm going to mention it for a reason. He said to me, half of the 1,000 that he bought, they have a different firmware that was put on them for optimizing cryptocurrency mining. And when all of that sort of cryptocurrency mining imploded, he bought all these cards real cheap. Of those 1,000, 500 of them, when they check them, they're good to go. Those are sold. And I think he might have made back the money he spent. He might be at a break even. But he's got another 500 that needs somebody who knows how to put their original firmware back on these cards. There's nothing wrong with them, but whatever Bitcoin mining operation did to them, they optimized. They did not buy them this way. Somebody optimized the firmware for mining so they don't play games or anything quite well. And he won't sell them that way. So he's asking me if I knew how to do that. Because, you know, there's some money to be made. I don't know a thing about it. But if any of you do and you're interested, you should reach out to him at the phone number on the website on the regular workday, and maybe you can help each other out. Scott says, has he heard of your channel? Well, he has now. I don't go there to interview them to ask him if they know me. Tell me what you know about me. Do you like me? Which of my videos have you? No, I don't ask those questions. I reached out to him, and I didn't hear back, and I kind of gave up. And then out of the blue, I got this phone call. I didn't recognize the number, and I was in the mood to deal with a scammer, so I answered it. And it's a real person, you know. It's not a scammer. Nobody's trying to sell me anything. And as soon as he introduces himself, I remember who he is, because it was probably a month or two ago. It wasn't that long ago. And I don't want to be a pest. So I don't know if he just forgot, he didn't get around to it, whatever. Oh, I think he was out of the country. I think he was in the Philippines for like 5 or 6 months. Maybe that's what it was. So then he reached out, and I'm like, oh, hey, you know, I'm glad you called. I kind of gave up on you. Sometimes being a pest is a good thing. You know, if you constantly kind of send reminders. For many people, they need that. And for other people, and this happens to me too, sometimes you don't intentionally don't get back to somebody, you just forget. So there's a fine line between pestering somebody and just gently reminding them. Are you mad at me? Is there some reason you're not returning my email? And usually it's just, I forgot. It's pretty rare that anybody ever says, don't ever contact me again. Hey, you know, if that's what you want, that's fine. I'm happy to honor it. I didn't know, right? Somebody ghosts you, I always assume it's not on purpose. They probably got other things going on in their life. So I never assume the negative on that. Always verify. If you think somebody's mad or ignoring you, ask them. Then you can set your expectations and, you know, okay, they were busy. Or they don't want to talk to me. Great, that's good to know. I won't waste any more time making the attempt, right? Either way, just let me know. That's how I am anyway. All right. Okay, I think that's it for today's show. This is going to run for a few days. Like I said, I have to shut this down, move it upstairs, turn it back on, and we're going to continue to use it as always. This one here, I'm going to start the migration, run the script. I'm going to do the exact same thing we've already done. These are Seagate IronWolf 20 terabyte drives. These are Seagate IronWolf 22 terabyte drives. These are all renewed drives. None of them are new. And then I've got the 26 terabyte Seagate Exos drives. So I'm giving you a live, unscripted demonstration of how the script works and how it's all proven right before your own eyes. There's no money in this for me. I don't have to tell you any of this, except morally and ethically, I feel obligated. Even more so the fact that very few people are exposing this information, that makes it more my responsibility. That's the way I see it. Now, whether or not this information is useful to you is only for you to decide. But I always think more information is always better to help you understand, to have realistic expectations to what meets your values. And I'm not here to dictate your values. I'm here to tell you about mine, to explain why I'm just fine with this, why I still like Synology, and why they're still my #1 choice. You may not feel that way. You're allowed to. All right. That's going to wrap it up. I want to thank, well, first of all, Charlie Purdy. Holy cow. Thank you so much for your very generous Amazon gift card today. Thanks, of course, to our good friend Buster, who's always been very generous to us. Thank you to Buster. And thank you to all of the super chats that came in and our new members that joined us. Let me just jump over here real quick. Welcome in Tech Gamer, who is a new member. Thank you to Big Sky Kodiak and Peter VZ, Thomas Yeager, and No Fiat also became a member today. So welcome in to No Fiat, or is it No Flat? Thank you guys for supporting us. And Mark Gaines renewed his membership. He's now a member 39 months. I think that's the first 39-month. I think he crossed that line first. Thank you, Mark. Mark joining us from Northern Ireland. Our friend Buster's in Scotland. Charlie Purdy is in it's not Ohio, is it? Can't remember where he joins us from. Mark Baggett said, great stream, Carrie. Thank you, Mark. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Thanks to all of you. I love seeing the chat room moving and everybody conversing. We have a very, just an amazing community here. And a community of this size of friendly individuals is pretty rare to find on the internet. No idea how much I cherish this community, all of you. Kindness. Charlie's in Boston. That's where it is, Boston. Thank you, Charlie. Apologize. Ohio and Boston are two very different places. Do I say hello to your mother for me?
That's my terrible impression of Mark Wahlberg. I could have done Matt Damon or Ben Affleck. There's a Duncan joke in there somewhere. I don't think I've ever been to Boston. That whole New England area, I've never been. I think the closest I came was Pennsylvania, New York, Washington, D.C. Kind of close. I got to get out more. Stay home. Tomorrow, as a reminder, members only video tomorrow starts at 1 o'clock, as always. If you have any questions, you want to reach out to us about anything privately, you can do so via our email address, which I'm going to put up on the screen here one more time. Right there. And if you don't get a response from us, typically within 24 hours, we probably never got your email because you probably misspelled it, but how would we know? Basically, what I'm telling you is if you send an email to that address and we haven't heard back from us within 24 hours, double check that email address because we're not getting it. And you can let us know another way, if that's the case, by visiting our forums, kerryholzman.boards.net, and you can talk with the community there in posts and messages. That's all open, public. Anybody can access it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, completely for free. And our friends over at SCD Keys are upgrading their site right now. So if you're looking for a product key from them and you are having trouble getting it, well, they're under construction. Just reach out to us. We'll help you out there too. I think I've covered everything. A shout out to our friends at Synology. I mean, it's really nice of them to send these units for review. It's well worth our investment of drives to demonstrate these units. There is no perfect NAS on the market. So you're going to be sacrificing no matter who you choose. And I'm still choosing Synology for all the reasons I went through today. And you're welcome to make a different decision. I'm not paid by Synology. I've never, ever had any financial transaction with Synology unless I was buying something from them, just like you. And my feelings are my feelings for the reasons I've given. Agree or disagree, I don't care. This is my business I have to run. And again, I think a lot of it comes down to, well, what am I using? You know, you get a product, an influencer that's telling you about, look at this amazing thing, and you ask that influencer, well, what do you use? Like, look at this amazing keyboard. Well, what do you use, Kerry? Well, you can see what I'm using. What does that tell you? I can choose what I place on this desk. And if you keep seeing the same things on my desk over and over and over again, like Seagate hard drives, or certain brands, certain things, that tells you that I like it so much I use it myself. And if I'm using it myself, I'm also probably using it for my customers. Probably. And you can take from that what you will. Okay? Maybe you go completely opposite. If that's what Kerry's using, I'm doing the that's fine. I'm fine with it. All right, that'll wrap it up. Big Sky says, thanks for what you do, Kerry. Hey, Big Sky, thank you for hanging out with us today. Rick Lake said he's never been to Boston either. Yeah, Rick's out there in Minnesota. He's closer to it than I am. Andy out there in Ireland said he was in Ohio a few years ago. Yeah. Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota. You know, that's kind of my neck of the woods, really. But I've never actually been to Wisconsin and Minnesota. But from what I've seen, it looks pretty much the same as Michigan, except maybe a little colder. Depends how far north you're going. Somebody's name I can't pronounce in the chat. Florin wants, have I ever considered doing more in real life? This is real life. I don't know what you mean. We have viewers all over the world, so I wouldn't want people to fly in from Brazil and Ireland and England and Canada and all throughout the United States to see me live. I might have an audience of 4 people, mostly people that are family that would show up. So this is the best way to reach out to people all over the world. It doesn't cost them anything, you know, they can tune in and join us and hang out in the community. And I'd say that's about as real life as it's going to work when we're dealing with a worldwide broadcast. Luke Greenia says he hates big cities. He's going to stay in the country setting of Vermont. Boy, I'll tell you, I see the videos from Vermont and North Carolina, South Carolina, and I just think, oh, to just have a nice little quiet house in the woods. I don't want your winter. But I think I'd still rather have your winter than my summer here in Phoenix. I don't know. It might be, I might live through it once and regret it. But on the other hand, I might just love it. So for now, I will live vicariously through you guys. And that's going to wrap it up. And we'll update you as need be, but I can tell you right now there's not going to be much to report for the next 10 days. We'll be adding the other drives and expanding the array 1 drive at a time. Then I'm going to re-enable the SSD cache and let it analyze. It'll analyze for 7 to 10 days. But again, we're still going to be able to use the NAS during these next 20 days as we do all this. And when it's all said and done, we're going to have 160 terabytes of storage with the 500 gig NVMe cache, 400 gig NVMe cache, a 10 gig network card. This thing is a monster, a monster. I'll still use the other drive just for testing purposes. I use this for all my YouTube video storage. Because we're now into the smaller streamer here, I don't have my little card, my little U.2 8 terabyte drive that I filled up anyway. I ran out of space. So all those 8 terabytes got moved to the NAS, and I said, well, let's just dedicate a NAS to it, which was initially this one. And now I'm decided, let's just move it. And that way it gives me an excuse to use it over time and report back any sort of updates or issues that could arise from using different drives, if such a thing happens, and why, if it happens, it'll be no big deal to work around it. There's really, it's just if they're going to stay with an open source Linux-based OS that they're building on, you know, think about it. Pretty open. So they would have to rewrite their OS from scratch, building it on their own, and that is not an easy task. There's no budget for that. It'll take years and millions of dollars. So I don't foresee them being able to do anything to this that we can't unlock. And that's even assuming they try. What I would like to see Synology do is reduce the stranglehold on the Synology only branded drive requirement. And I think they're going to be forced to do that financially. I think that I think Synology is a privately owned company, so they don't have to answer to anybody. But nobody likes to lose money over a long period of time. And at some point, we do know this is affecting sales, but the numbers are not public. So we don't know exactly where their sales are compared to where they were this time last year. But it's safe to assume, especially from reading internet comments, people are never going to buy Synology so long as they keep the drives restricted. And yeah, all the power to you. I think they're not going to have a choice financially, but what do I know? I'm speculating. When and if that happens, or there's any updates, I will be sure to let you know. That's why we continue to use these every day. We rely on them as any other business would. And if there's anything that benefits or takes away from, as a consequence, our ability to use this in our business, we're going to let you know that too. And again, even if we can play these what if games until we're dead, we can go hour after hour, day after day, week after week, month after month, coming up with our imagination of possibilities that will never ever happen. It's a waste of time. Because if Synology were able to lock it back down so that these drives were incompatible, they still work.
They won't make it so your NAS doesn't boot up and you can't have access to your data. They just disable the ability for you to expand or repair that RAID. So we wouldn't want to continue using it in that state for any longer than necessary. And likely, it's just a matter of re-unlocking it. So prove me wrong. If you can't prove me wrong, it's just your imagination. So that's all a waste of time. You can amuse yourself all you want with the what ifs. I'm interested in, give me an example, show me. I've just shown you, and if you're still skeptical, show me. I'd love to see it. I challenge all of you. That's going to wrap it up. Thanks again for watching. Thanks Tamara for all the work she does in the background. Amazing thumbnails she did on today's video. And the video notes that are put together, including all the scripts for the Synology for various different workarounds for different things. And credit to the people at GitHub who do that. Thanks to all of you. Thanks to the members. Thanks for the super chats, PayPal, Charlie Purdy, Buster. You guys rock. Mark Gaines, all of you. Thank you so much. I will see the members tomorrow, 1 o'clock. Hope you're there. Until then, bye for now.